All right, so processing instruments, especially acoustic instruments, is something that we do in a mix, especially only when necessary. Always have to think that way. Like you always have to think whether or not you have to do it. And if you feel like you have to do it, then ideally what you're trying to do is help that instrument stand out or blend in. So let's take a look at this session and let's see how we accomplish that. All right, so we're gonna talk about processing instruments, and so I'm gonna start with the bass. It's always good to start with the bass, so here's the bass. So it's always good to figure out like what the purpose of each instrument is for the track that you're working in. So in this case, I could tell that there's a lot of importance in the actual individual notes that the bass is playing. So it's a good thing to keep those in there. So we can't make this bass too muddy, but also we want the bass to be bass, you know, so that it could be the bass for the track. So what we are going to try to do is bring up the bass, give it a little bit of body, while at the same time keeping the mid and brightness that it has already. So you could do that in a few different ways. Once you think about it in frequencies, then you know more or less now how you're going to approach it. You could use an EQ, of course. You have to be kind of careful because you could overdo it. You could definitely use compression. I believe basses should always have some kind of limiter. This is a good limiter from Waves, but you could use an limiter. Because basses tend to be very erratic when it comes to energy. They could have very little energy and then jump up and have a lot of energy all of a sudden. So a limiter, a combination of limiter compressor is going to help you keep your bass under control. Also a compressor, obviously, for the same reason, because basses can be very erratic when it comes to energy. So you want to help them out and keep them under control. H compressor is a very nice compressor. If you don't have H compressor, if you don't have any of these plugins, you can totally do it with a standard plugin. This is the DigiDesign bass, compressor. So you can even pull up a setting. Let's see what we have here. Bass guitar. And then never just settle for that. It's a good starting point, but always see like how it's affecting your signal. For me, this is compressing too much. So I am going to raise my threshold. And I'm going to lower the output gain because it's hitting the output a little too hard. Okay, cool. So far so good. Just a little bit. And with basses, when it comes to compressing basses, you want to have a medium attack, medium to fast release. You don't want the attack to go in there too fast, but you don't want the release to kind of stay there lingering. I guess the last thing would be to EQ it, of course. I feel this bass in particular is bright enough, so what we probably want to do is add some low end. And again, we don't have to go fancy on the EQ. We could just get a regular EQ, something like this. This is the one that comes with DigiDesign, and just play with the low end to see what we can get out of it. Problem with this EQ is that sometimes you have to crank it to get something good out of it. And don't be afraid to do that either. Another way that you can approach basses, which is one way that I like to always try, is with enhancers. So for instance, something like our bass, like this one's kind of like a specialty type plugin. They can help you gain some nice fatness to your bass by adding harmonics into your bass. This one in particular is for bass or bass anything really. I even use it on vocals that need more low end. Here's a before and after. So you can tell the difference right away. So it's very noticeable, the difference when our bass is in and out. And more often than not, it works better than an EQ, because EQs can only push what's there. While when you add enhancers typically add based on what's there. They add new things. All right, so that was just a little bit about process and instruments. There's a lot more to do with that, especially with genres and things of the sort. If you guys want to see more or learn more, visit sae.edu for more tutorials, and I'll see you next time.